Saima.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, how are you?
Depending on what time of the day, really. But yeah, there's a lot of feeling of unworthiness and fear going on right now with me. And it's when you're talking to Dawn, you mentioned something about the same pattern repeating itself. And it's what I've been noticing with me lately, but related with career or creativity and trying to make a living out of it.
Yeah.
And what's been happening is I'll focus on one thing, and eventually I start getting good at it. And then ideas of like, oh, maybe I could make a living out of this, and someone says something, and I start to pursue it, and then the protective or fearful side comes in and wants to just hold on and protect, and it changes the entire relationship with this thing, and eventually it doesn't go well, and I stop, and like this feeling of fear and unworthiness kind of grows, and I don't do anything for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it starts in another avenue, whatever, accidentally, because I wasn't going for it.
You just stop resisting and try do something else, and it just starts happening again. Yeah.
And it starts happening again. And then one day, before I know it, it's big enough to be seen from the outside, and to have like ideas of like, you could do this or and all that. And then when that process starts, the same
Around
thing.
you go again. Yeah. Yeah. And that is so frustrating, isn't it? Because we've all been there. It could be a different thing than career or work, whatever, but it goes on, doesn't it? So what if you just decided, I'm not going to, let's say it's painting, or it could be anything at all, right? It could be graphic design, anything. It could be making music, designing kitchens. It could be anything that we're talking about here. What if you said, I'm only going to ever do this because it's fun? Even if some years, months into the future, I've got lots of money coming in from people that want me to do this, I'm still going to make this my guiding principle, that it's just for the fun and the joy of it. And it happened, when we started to hold satsang years ago, and it started to get more in an organized way, the same thing happened to me. Okay, now I'm doing this because I want to help people wake up. I'm doing this because it'd be nice if I could pay my bills, and each and every time I had some other reason for doing it, it just fell apart, because suddenly it was a different energy that I was coming from. And I had to learn that the only worthwhile reason for doing anything is for the joy of it, how it feels when I'm in that moment doing it. So right now, the only reason, my mind might say, well, you're doing this to help people, or to help them wake up, or recognize the truth, or whatever it is. The only reason I'm doing this is because it feels really good. And I've just, every time I pick up another reason, it doesn't happen anymore, but in the past, every time I picked up another reason, and then I would just begin to drop that, notice it and drop it as soon as I could. Because if it's just having fun, there's a lightness in that, isn't there? There's an openness. It's just joyful to do this. This is what my consciousness, the consciousness, wants to do as me, or how it wants to express itself. And that's a very open energy, which tends to allow all the resources you need to come to do that. They're just like, whatever happens from this point on, I'm only going to do it because I want to, because it's fun, because it's joyful.
I was wondering if you could help me look into when the administration part comes in, how to look at that. Like, I'm doing this thing for fun by myself, and there's no registrations required. There's none of that. There's no agent. There's nothing. And then when that starts, what's the question there?
If I have to do something that doesn't feel joyful in that process, so, submitting my tax return or whatever it is, if I spend as little time as possible feeling bad and immediately come back to the joy as soon as I can I immediately come back into a higher state as quick as possible, either through doing the painting or whatever it is, or sitting in meditation, feeling joyful, contemplating, anything that makes you feel good. You do what you need to do, what you have to do that you don't enjoy. And then as quick as possible, get that done, and then right back into a higher energy. And try to do that registration stuff when you're in a high place anyway, and you're feeling good. And then what you'll find is life will give you the circumstances to help you so that even that becomes joyful. Or you draw someone else to you that loves to do that kind of stuff, the stuff that you don't find so much fun. So it frees you up even more then to do more of this.
And I know it's the mind, but so when the images of, like, last time you pursued this, it didn't go well. What last time you pursued something like this, what happened? And I'm just wondering how to deal with that.
For me, me and questions, I love questions. I would just ask myself, am I having fun right now? Am I having fun right now? What's my reason for doing this? And just kind of stopping and checking in before I get on a satsang or launch Zoom. Where am I coming from with this? And obviously whatever the activity is for you, you can sort of stop and check in and see, why am I doing this? And if I find that some motivation has crept in there, some other motivation, I can just stop and sort of take a deep breath. And what if I just don't hinge anything else on it and just enjoy it the best I can? That question for me was a reset. Am I enjoying this actually? It just kind of brought me back to awareness of it.
I think it will help me unblock something right now.
Good. It's a heavy burden, isn't it, too? Something that's fun and joyful, and then suddenly we're doing it to make money or to pay the bills or even to help people. That's a massive burden. Or, of course we want to help people, but let's not do it for that reason. Let's do it because it's just what wants to happen here. And it's quite joyful in that, isn't it? And then all those other things will happen anyway. You'll end up helping lots of people, inspiring people, whatever. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Good to chat with you.